microdose, yeah, microdose, 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 dose, microdose, microdose, dose, microdose, microdose, dose.
What's good, y'all? Kush Hayes here, coming to you with another edition of the Microdose. We are now in November. It's the winter season, and it's one of my favorite times of year. Obviously, the holidays are a big deal, etc., etc. But we're getting towards awards season, and usually the heavy guns come out. Obviously, you've been hearing me ad nauseum repeating over and over and over again. We're actually over 600 days now. This pandemic has affected everything, so this year we are just spoiled with blockbusters and Oscar award nominees that could be or should be. And here to talk a little bit more about that today is brother and sister duo, Monica Dexter, Tyler Hines. They're out of Ohio. They're the Cinema Bees. Guys, welcome to the show. What's good?
Hey there. Thanks.
Hi, thanks for having us.
Thank you for being a part of this. First off, you guys are brand new at this. You're in your 5th, maybe 6th episode coming up, but Cinema Bees. Where does that name come from?
So our grandma, it's kind of a family tradition type thing. Our grandma, basically, bees are like special to her. She kind of calls all of us her little bees. So, and we're big movie people. The whole family's big movie people. So it kind of just fit right in.
All right. This must be serendipity. I actually have notes with a little bee on it. That was not intentional. It just happened.
Wow.
All coincidence, just a beautiful, happy accident. Cinema Bees, how does this get started? Who pulls the trigger? Who says we need to share the world our opinion on cinema? Kino.
We always talked about movies, like every time, so I used to be this really big, stickler about every time leaving a movie. I would just be like, so guys, what was your favorite part? And I would deeply analyze every single movie I saw for no reason. Mm-hmm. And so after a while, our parents just were like, you guys have great conversations about movies. You should do something with this.
Yeah, and we just see, we've been talking about it for a couple years, and finally we just pulled the trigger. We see so many movies. I think it was a couple years ago, we saw 52 movies in a year, and we were like, if we're going to be seeing one movie a week like this, we got to start talking about it. People got to hear us.
As of this recording, I think the newest episode you have out right now was The Last Duel. Am I right about that, or is that a one before?
That was one before. We just released Last Night in Soho early last week.
Okay.
And then we plan to see Eternals. We're seeing that tomorrow, actually. So that episode should be up by Tuesday. Yeah. Without
spoiling anything, I saw Eternals over the weekend. Didn't really know what to expect. Overall, I did like it. I normally say oh boy, I wish this was shorter. No, I think it needed every minute in it, but I also felt every minute in it as well. I was just
I see. Yeah.
Better do some stretches here,
Yeah,
there are some movies that are unnecessarily long, and then some that are the perfect length. Like the latest Venom movie, I saw we saw that separate, but that was the perfect length. It was just short and sweet, and you were in it, and you were then it was over, and you were all right, that was right. That felt good.
See, it's funny that you mentioned Venom. So I did not see the first Venom. Still now have desire to see the first Venom, but I did give Venom 2 a chance because I was it's 89 minutes. It's half a mile away from me. I'm gonna be home by 8:00. This is wonderful. I must take advantage of this. And having said all that, it was still one of the longest 89 minutes with credits I've ever experienced. The Last Duel,
it
however,
was better than the first one. So
okay. Oh, I don't know. That's not a strong recommendation for me.
Yeah,
I'm glad you liked it.
The first one, then.
I'm glad you liked it. However, a movie like The Last Duel, I did not necessarily feel its length. For a brief second, when we got out of Matt Damon's story, I was like, oh my god, this was nearly an hour. Are they all three going to be nearly an hour? And ultimately, no, they would not be. But that was when I was like, oh, this just flies by. I'm totally into this. I love it. I thought it was also funny that they didn't try and force an accent. And as one of you said, they would have just been speaking French anyways. And clearly no one spoke French. So I appreciated that Matt Damon is just in his native Massachusetts accent going, hey, Adam Driver, I don't like it when you're raping my wife like that. What the fuck, man? And I was but I didn't. And it's guys.
Yeah, it didn't. Nothing seemed forced in that one, which I was very like surprised about, and I was very happy with because I was just like, I was worried it was going to be a lot of like them trying to make something work and feel accurate, and I was glad they didn't.
It was accurate enough, but at some point you just got to go like, this is an American production. No one here speaks French. One of the when it comes down to language, one of the things I've also brought up on this show before was like Black Widow is weird because sure, no one speaks Russian, but they're all forcing these broken English accents. It's like you guys are all very intimate with each other. You're literally in Russia in a room alone. Like they could just put some peanut butter in Scarlett Johansson's mouth and just voice over her or something like it. But then in Shang-Chi is in so much Chinese that when they are speaking English, I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? Like we're in mythical China and English is not your first two languages, gentlemen. Like, come on, like just it's okay. We've done 75% of this movie in Chinese. It's okay to have this very dramatic climax in your native language, and they still force that in English. But The Last Duel, Ridley Scott. Are you guys excited that there's another Ridley Scott Adam Driver movie coming out next month?
Yes, I'm very excited. I'm looking forward to it. House of Gucci, that one looks really, really good. I think Adam Driver is just such a good actor. I mean, he's attractive, yes, but he's a good actor. I think he brings life to every story he's in. Like, I think the Star Wars trilogy would have not been nearly as successful without him. I just think he brings a lot of life to all of his movies.
I think the only things I've seen that I can remember with Adam Driver are obviously the third Star Wars trilogy, but Marriage Story on Netflix with Scarlett Johansson, I remember seeing. And I was surprised by that one because before I'd only seen him in Star Wars. And so I was like, oh, wow, he can actually act.
I think a lot of people had their first introduction to him because of Star Wars, and maybe a very small fraction of folks saw him in Girls on HBO. I didn't see any of that. But yeah, when Marriage Story happened and then they get into that argument and he puts his fist through the drywall, like I saw that in a theater and the oxygen left the room. Like it was just like, shit.
Yeah. That movie just surprised me. I was so like drawn by that movie when I first saw it.
Lots of fantastic performances, a very heavy subject that I thankfully have not had to live through yet. Hopefully never. But that's a thing that like I've seen other friends go through and just like, oh, so that's what happened. Okay, I get it. Anything you guys are looking forward to over the next 2 months? We got 2 months left in the year, 2021. Again, chock full of movies that were supposed to be out last year. What are you looking forward to over the next 6 weeks?
I mean, obviously, I'm a big Marvel buff. I'm more of a Marvel buff than she is, so I'm excited for Eternals. And then, is there then Spider-Man, obviously, in December?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that one. House of Gucci is actually up there on my list, especially because I think that one's probably we're going to see popping up a lot during awards season. I think that one's got to be up there. And then I think, honestly, if you go to the movies a lot like us, some of the trailers you see every weekend, you can't help but be like, oh my gosh, I have to see this movie. But then I know the new Matrix, I'm looking forward to seeing that, but I'm definitely going to have to go back and watch the other old Matrix movies because the trailer makes me realize I do not remember what happened in those movies.
I barely remember what happened in the first one, which is the big one.
Oh, wow. Not to throw either of you under the bus. How old are you two?
I'm 20.
I'm 25.
Oh my God. Okay. Yeah. Youngsters.
Yes. Because we were talking on one of our episodes, like how we just haven't seen like certain classic movies. Like I've never seen Forrest Gump. And like, that's a big one. And like, she's never seen Alien. I just watched Alien this year, probably about a month ago, which is another big one. Like there's a whole bunch of ones that I've just never seen. The one that came to mind after we made that episode is I've never seen The Godfather. Any of the Godfathers.
Me either. I haven't either.
It's like, how can we call ourselves movie buffs?
I mean, there's 20 years ago that might have been a good debate. Like, can you call yourselves movie? But like, there's just so much out there today, and there's just more and more and more as each day gets longer. I myself, so when I'm 43 years old, so I feel significantly. I feel like we have different perspectives by a lot here. When you're just declaring like I haven't seen the classics like Forrest Gump and The Matrix, like those movies were literally just last week for me. Still,
Yeah.
like, I remember seeing those in the theater. So yeah, that's crazy. I do a bunch of different podcasts. One of them is called Kush and Kai. That's the original thing that started this whole network. And my co-host Kai was like, "You've never seen the Lord of the Rings trilogy?" And then through a loophole in the clause, he got me to watch all three of them, and we just recorded that episode yesterday. So like, I totally relate with you guys. Like, I haven't seen Jaws. I just finally saw Psycho for the first time completely, maybe in May. 2001. Didn't see before like 2 years ago. So like, I hear where you guys are coming from.
Yeah,
Godfather.
a
That's
lot
a
of the
commitment.
ones that you're saying are ones that I have also not seen. You saying Jaws reminded me that I haven't seen The Shining, and I've wanted to watch The Shining for so long.
I can't believe you haven't seen The Shining. That's crazy.
I've only seen The Shining in fragments, and that was in the 80s when it would play on syndication for like the 9 o'clock movie. And I'd be like, I'm waiting for this other show to come on. I'm on Star Trek. And so I'd always see bits and pieces and would have no way to process what was happening. But
right.
yeah. Let me see, 2001. If you do see that, I would recommend seeing that on as big a screen as possible. All right. If that is a possibility for you, do that. You will not regret it. But that's a movie from this 50 years ago. So it's a slow burn, as they call it today. All right. Like, it's every scene is there for a reason. People would have liked it to have been shorter, but this is where the director made a movie and he was like, no, I don't care what your research has proven. This thing, I'm showing you a bunch of monkeys just playing with bones in the desert for a half hour. That's it. You're getting stuck with that.
We'll add it to the list. We've talked about doing like episodes of the Cinema Bees podcast where after we watch these classics, we talk about those as well. So we're thinking about doing that as well.
I would also recommend Network with Faye Dunaway. That's a dope movie. And then I'm just partial to it. The original Shaft, 1971.
Okay, I think our dad's the exact same age as you, and we spend a lot of time with our parents, so we understand your perspective a little bit. But I think he's mentioned that movie before. So
yeah, we got a lot of like the classic movies that we have seen. Like, that's what we've gotten through him.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like some of the movies that we've actually seen that are like called the classics now, we've seen through him, but just some we just slipped through. Like I think one of my dad's favorite movies is The Godfather. It's up there. Godfather and Scarface are both up there for him.
Yeah.
And somehow we slipped through that. We never saw those.
People love that Godfather movie and they swear by it. I have a friend. Don't you dare even think about anything negative about The Godfather or Marlon Brando or that era of Al Pacino around her.
Right.
Like, she's got a little altar in the house to the Godfather trilogy, and it's like, ooh, this is a little heavy for me, ma'am. Okay.
Yeah, it's always fun to see the people that like are like deathly like in like obsessed with like one specific movie. They're like, this movie is flawless.
Yeah.
Like, mine is probably Mary Poppins.
Yeah, that's true.
I've always loved Mary Poppins, and so that's probably my movie where I'm like, this movie is almost flawless. There's some things that are too long for my taste, but
yeah, I don't think I have one, but Mary Poppins that is a good one. That's a good one.
No favorite movie at all, Monica?
You mentioned Halloween.
Halloween, honestly, the 1978 original Halloween it's definitely in my top 10. I do think it's a nearly perfect movie, and one of my friends just watched it for the first time, and she was like, "I don't get why you don't like it," and it was a bit upsetting for me. So, yeah, that's definitely up there.
What is your favorite movie? I actually don't know this.
I don't know. I am partial to chick flicks. Like, I think Legally Blonde is a really, really good movie. I get it. It's kind of corny or whatever, but I think that one's really good. That's probably up there as well. Clueless, that's another one. I know it's a chick flick, but if you watch Clueless through like a certain lens, it's a lot of it's just satire. Clueless is really good. I like that one more and more every time I watch it. Have you seen Clueless?
You would get along perfectly with little sister Hayes. She loves both of those movies as well.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah. Take it with the spirit's intended. I think it's encoded in the female DNA. You have to love Clueless, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Monica. You have to love ABBA.
Oh my gosh, yes, of course, that is correct. I cry every time Dancing Queen comes on at a bar.
Yes.
It's on so much now. I hear it so often. Like at any gathering, like I was at campus the other day at UC, and we were doing like a getting ready for the game day, and Dancing Queen comes on, and everyone just starts like busting out, like singing like as loud as they can. I was like, when did this become this big of a hit?
It always
everyone knows it. Everyone knows it.
The movie I know I've seen the most in life is the original Ghostbusters. Have you guys even seen that at all?
Yeah. That's definitely it. That's a great one.
Okay. Are you excited at all about the newest one coming out?
Yeah, I was gonna ask you about that. I've been looking at it, and it looks like a revival, so I'm like kind of excited about it.
Did you see the female one, I guess, that they came out with? I
did.
Never saw that one. I heard bad things.
There's bad things about it. It's definitely not a great movie. It's not a great Ghostbusters. So I did not want the project at all once Ghostbusters 2 happened, and then we had a 20-year gap. I was like, we don't need it. We just don't need it. Maybe just do something else or whatever. But then they're like, well, we're going to do a female Ghostbusters. There's laughs in it. I like the special effects. If you saw it in the theater in 3D, they did this really cool thing where they cropped it even more. You're like, it's already cropped. No, it's in the dark, so you're not seeing the extra bars. But when they shoot the proton streams, like it goes outside of the frame. Like did a lot of cool stuff with the visuals. But it's not great.
I remember
not going to front after the COVID. I just want to get it out of the way. I'm looking forward to Afterlife as an event and not really holding breath on it.
Yeah, I agree. I've seen that. That's one trailer I've also seen a lot from going to the movie so much, and I'm just ready for the movie to come out so I don't have to see the trailer. But I think it looks good. I think that one will be good. Similar to Ghostbusters, I guess. Back to the Future is probably another one of my top favorite movies. I always kind of associate the two together. That's a great one.
Know that.
Oh, I love Back to the Future. I could watch that like every week.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a great movie.
Yeah.
I would definitely call that a classic.
Yeah.
But now let me ask you, are you in the camp of people where tomorrow morning, it's in front page of Variety, we're getting a remake of Back to the Future? This is just a hypothetical. Your opinion.
I would not like that. I don't think we need to revive everything. As much of a movie lover as I am, it's like, even with the Ghostbusters, I'm like, yeah, I'll see it. It'll probably be at least good to watch, but we don't have to revive every single classic. Even like Disney's doing it so much, and just come up with new stories. There's so many new stories to come up with. I mean, I'm saying that I'm not a writer, so I'm not the one writing the movies, but still.
Yeah, I like the new trend that's coming out, like with Halloween and with Scream now, where like they're like soft rebooting it, or they're like kind of like taking the first or the first few movies and then like continuing the story like as if extra ones didn't happen. But still like it's not needed. I just find it like ended up like you're doing the same thing over and over again, which kind of falls flat for me.
Yeah, I think if you can do it well, it can turn out really good. Like the Halloween 2018 reboot, was amazing. I really enjoyed that. And hopefully Ghostbusters is really good. And if they can balance paying homage to the originals while bringing in new, fresh characters and storylines, I think that's great. But I don't think that's always successful.
Yeah.
I think you guys probably got the most grounded response you could have given me to that. Most folks are just like, it'll be the worst thing since 9/11. We can't remake Back to the Future. No, it's sacrilege, and it's like the original's still going to be there, guy. It's you just
exactly.
Buy the Blu-ray, it'll be fine.
When people say it ruins the originals, I don't think that's true because that one still exists. You can just pretend the other one never happened.
Yeah, like you could pretend the third Star Wars trilogy never happened.
Yeah,
and the rest of Star Wars is still intact.
What do you guys think of the original Star Wars prequels?
I like the prequels, okay? I like the prequels. I'm a prequels defender.
I used to love the prequels when I was a kid. Now I only love the third one. Now I only love Revenge
Interesting.
of the Sith.
Episode 1 was the first movie I ever saw in theaters. My dad took me when I was a kid, so I don't know if I like have special association with that, but I especially
Probably.
love Episode 1.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's an incredibly heady movie for an 8-year-old to be like, this is the greatest thing ever.
Yeah.
Yay, politics the entire time. That's just prequels. Yeah, but like I remember like playing with like the little toys just specifically from the prequels. And I think the prequels was how I was introduced to Star Wars when I was young.
Okay.
I'm almost positive because I don't remember like much like of my childhood with the original movies. I remember it with the prequels. But now like I'm obsessed with the originals, and I also love the shows that they're doing. Like certain like Mandalorian was really fun. I think you haven't seen Mandalorian.
I haven't watched Mandalorian.
But I just watched the Clone Wars TV show for the first time like last year, and that was really, really cool.
So do you not like the prequels?
I mean, I was still a teenager when the prequels came out, and then finally my early 20s. So no, they're definitely not my favorite whatsoever. But I remember having this argument because back then everyone was like, the prequels are the worst thing since 9/11. 9/11 hasn't happened yet, but they still suck. And I was just like, guys, you have to understand, there's going to be this whole generation in 20 years that are going to be like, the prequels are my favorite childhood memory ever. And they're like, that's never going to happen. And you guys are the example that is a thing. That's always been a thing. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure where I was going to go with that, but they felt less special with each one. It definitely felt like an obligation by the time we got to a third one. And then everything got rushed, and there was a lot of confusion and a lot of unjust animosity. It's at this point you should just go like, it's just a movie, guys. Calm down.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
A lot of like I see a lot of like stuff online with people that saying that like just that certain things ruin Star Wars, and that like the world of Star Wars should be left intact. Like episode 8, just like everyone like the like huge Star Wars fans hate episode 8. And I personally liked episode 8 because it was going to do something new. But like the people that are like, how dare you change my vision of Star Wars, always like stuck out to me as like a really bad thing.
Yeah, I think it just depends on you, how much you invest yourself like into the movies. Like I also personally love episodes 7, 8, and 9. But I'm not as diehard of a Star Wars fan. Like I couldn't tell you necessarily every minor character's names, blah blah blah. But I think there are people who, I mean, people are paying $5,000 to stay in a hotel room that's Star Wars themed. So people are really dedicated their livelihood to Star Wars. So I guess I can see why they might take it so seriously. But I think just have fun. But like you said, it's just a movie. Like just have fun with it. Like be like, we get to enjoy it.
Yeah, they make it for
Are you looking
entertainment.
forward to the Boba Fett show?
I am. I know she doesn't watch the shows.
I want to watch them eventually, but I don't know.
I tell you every time, the shows are cool. I think the shows are definitely like the next step of Star Wars.
Yeah, I want to watch Mandalorian especially. I've heard really good things, but
I'm excited
got around to it.
I'm excited for Boba Fett. I'm like super excited. Me and my dad love Star Wars.
Oh, far out, man. What's your dad's favorite Star Wars?
5.
Yeah, episode. He likes the original trilogies, episode 5. Yeah.
Yeah, everyone likes 5. It's
right.
hard to find someone who doesn't.
The objective best one by like everyone's standards. Everyone just says 5.
Are you guys into kung fu movies or anything like that? Foreign films?
Not necessarily. Honestly, shamefully, I think our first introduction really into foreign films was Parasite last year, which really made me want to watch, like, expand more. But Parasite was amazing. It was so good. So yeah.
I was surprised by that. I was really invested in that the whole time.
Yeah.
Parasite was super good. But yeah, no, I've never been one to watch many foreign films. I was taking a class in college. I'm still in college. I was taking a class last year about crime and media in Latin America. So I was watching all Latin American movies just centered around crime. And that was a cool introduction into that. But like I watched City of God, if you've ever heard of that one. That one was a big one that I remember my uncle watched.
It's a heavy one.
Yeah, exactly. I remember watching that. I was like, this is really like a cool new like view. And it's something that like movies are great for, just giving you a new view on things. So I do want to venture out more into foreign stuff.
Do you have any foreign films you recommend?
Well, if my favorite movie isn't Ghostbusters, my favorite movie is John Woo's second film, his sophomore film that he ever made. It's called The Last Hurrah for Chivalry. It's a very strange title, but it's a old Chinese fantasy film. Like we're talking about like some ancient dynasty where horses are the only mode of transportation. Everything's covered in dirt, and all issues are resolved by swords and arrows. But it's the old studio system, so everything's on a wire. Lots of over exaggerated movements. I don't necessarily know if I'd thrust that one on you guys so early, but that's definitely one of my favorite ones.
All right, we'll keep that in mind. I mean, you're like anime stuff, right, Tyler? Like,
I watch anime every now and then. That's been a cool venture. I like some of that stuff.
What's the hip new anime now? So like maybe the newest thing I'd seen is like Hajime no Ippo, which is a fighting spirit, the boxing one. Otherwise, Ghost in the Shell was maybe like the last thing I'd ever seen. I
know the big one like nowadays is My Hero Academia, which was like almost like an Americanized anime, but then I think there was one called Jujutsu Kaisen, which was a new one.
Okay.
But I just haven't watched any of the recent ones that like my friend recommends me like a lot of old anime. Like I've watched like Cowboy Bebop and like the classics, or so he calls. But yeah,
I'm old enough that I know what Cowboy Bebop is, but I never got into it. And now that it's being called a classic, I don't know how that sits with me. But like it was around. I know it has its fan base, and it went from A to B. And there's supposed to be a Netflix movie coming out, right?
Yeah, a live action Netflix movie. I just watched the trailer for it the other day. It actually looks pretty cool. I'm excited for it because it looks very stylish, which is what drew me into the anime when I first watched it. So I'm excited to see if it's gonna be good, because I know Netflix hasn't had the best track record with live action anime adaptations. That's the word. Because they made a live action Death Note, which was a very, very popular anime, and I never watched it.
The controversy with that.
I heard it was bad.
Okay.
So I'm worried, but I'm still excited, and maybe I'll get my hopes up and I'll be disappointed. But that's just what happens sometimes.
Did you see the 2017 Ghost in the Shell at all?
No, I did not.
Okay. There's a lot of style and no substance. A lot of style, no substance. Forget the controversy within that. It's just not a good movie in general. It is very, very bizarre that like they tried to make it its own story, but then they literally like ripped scenes out of that original anime film that have just no context within this story. You're like, well, this is literally that scene, like square for square. But
people are gonna love this scene. We have to put it in, but also there's no reason.
Yeah. And then there's the whole controversy, which at first was like, come on, that's not a thing. And they're like, oh no, that became a thing. Shit. How'd they do that? That's not okay. You guys would have been criticized anyways, but like you flat out just went like, we took the brain of a Japanese woman and put it in Scarlett Johansson's body because we could. And it was like, whoa, no. That doesn't make any sense.
Good idea, guys.
Yeah. Anyways, guys, is the Eternals going to be your next episode, or are you thinking something else?
Yeah, Eternals will be next. Yep.
Eternals, and then I think after that, what is it? I think it's Hasaguchi, right?
Yeah. No. After that, I think it should be Ghostbusters.
Yeah, Gucci's coming out Thanksgiving.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. So.
And Encanto's coming out Thanksgiving, which the new Disney movie. I'm looking forward to that. We're also Disney people. I know that can be controversial. People hate Disney adults, but we're Disney people, so I'm excited for that one.
Yeah, any Disney movie that comes out, we see.
Yeah.
That's just the reality of the situation.
Tyler, you said your favorite movie was Mary Poppins, but that's your favorite Disney film too.
Monica, exactly.
What's your favorite Disney film?
Probably Princess and the Frog. Yeah.
Oh wow.
That's probably my favorite animated one.
Yeah, that one is really good. And a lot of people, I think that one's underrated. Like a lot of people didn't see it or didn't really give it a chance. But That one's really, really good. I also think Toy Story is just probably one of the best animated films of all time. And Up is another one.
Up is really
Oh
good.
God, Up will just rip out your heart like in that
Yeah.
first 10 minutes, and then everything is a blur. I don't remember anything else after that.
That's pretty much the experience every time you watch it.
It's always the worst. It's always the worst because like you'll hear that like tune from the entire first 10 minutes, and you're just like you just hear the notes, and you're like, all right, I'm ready to die now, ready to cry my heart out. It's just like that impactful.
Cinema Bees, they're brother and sisters out of Ohio. Monica, Tyler, the Cinema Bees, they do a podcast every Tuesday. Next event's going to be Marvel's Eternals. I'm looking forward to hearing what you guys say about that. As for me, I do some stuff around here. We literally, I think we mentioned it in the episode, but me and Kai, Kush and Kai, number 58, we just dropped the Lord of the Rings trilogy. I've only seen the very first one prior to this. I've now sat through all 9+ hours of it. No, we didn't do the special editions, but we got some thoughts. Yeah, check out what we have to say about that. Otherwise, Sweet Science Cinema coming up at the end of the month. Me and Pro Wrestling Hall of Famer Jameel Hemphill. It's the season finale. We're going to be talking about Rocky IV Ultimate Director's Cut. I'm looking forward to that by a lot. 40 extra minutes. No robot. What's that going to be like? Anyways, otherwise, outside of the BosNet family, I do a show called The Microdose, which we're currently on. I do a show called Waffle Box Podcast with friend of the family, Mike Fish. It's the best part of Wednesdays, and you can always check that out on YouTube or waffleboxpod.com. For Monica, for Tyler, I've been Kush Hayes. You've been you.
Microdose, 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 yeah, microdose.
From the BosNet family.
Hey, Adam Driver, I don't like it when you're raping my wife like that. What the fuck, man?